Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and today we have a really fun guest on the pod. I'd love to introduce you guys to Jenna. Jenna, say your last name for me.
Yes, the $1 million question. The American way that I like to say it is Lesoeur.
Lesoeur, but even that still sounds French, so I'll take it. I love it. Well, I'm super excited about having Jenna on the podcast, guys. We were talking before this, but I feel like I followed you for years and years at this point. Pretty much all of my seniors have your photos as inspo when they come to me to book. So pretty much every time. So I'm super excited. You guys might know her as Ren Pro. That is like her Instagram name. And yeah, so Jenna, tell us a little bit about who you are, about your life, about your business. Tell us everything.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, yes, my name is Jenna Lesoeur. I am operating out of Southern California, and actually born and raised from out here as well. So a lot of what you'll see in my work is obviously a lot of beach photos, right? We're out in Laguna and Newport and all that fun stuff. But oh my gosh, where do I even begin? Because I could go from the top. I could tell you about, college, videography, how I got into seniors, but basically I'm super blessed to say that I work full time with high school seniors and also teach photographers how to really lean into a specialty, a niche.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's cool to even just like get to chat with you. Like what a full circle moment, because I remember like I hadn't niched down yet. I had seniors in my clientele, but I hadn't niched down yet. I was just kind of a side job doing my thing. And I would see your stuff and I'm like, I feel like I could do that. Like, I feel like that I can do that. Like, I feel like we're cut from the same cloth, and I was just watching the way that you connect with people, even just from an online standpoint from across the country, but like the way that you do it is so well. You do your job so well. You love people so well. And it's just like so clear that you love your seniors and you love your job. So I just like love that we get to chat today. We get to be besties for the day, and I'm so ready for it.
Super, super fun. Yeah. I always feel like when I see another senior photographer, it's almost like, how they say like recognizes like. It's almost just like, totally. Even if you haven't met, you're like, I just know that there's so much that we have in common. And I also know that there's a lot of potentially, photographers out there who are getting started and might be interested in the senior photography niche. And you guys are in for a treat because we're about to tell you why it's the world's best photography niche.
Truly, I love it. Well, I think I love getting to talk to people about like how they found their niche in general. And sometimes you kind of like stumble into your niche, but that is one of my like top questions. Anytime I do a Q&A, someone says like, do I have to niche down? How do I find what I'm supposed to niche in? Like, so what would you say to that? How did you find seniors?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'll tell you like a little bit about my story. I call it my like happy accident story because it really wasn't one of those things where I grew up, as a kid drawing pictures of like, I want to be a senior photographer someday. It definitely developed. And then I'd love to just touch on what you said about, kind of almost having like the fear around niching or really like a resistance toward it, and why I find that so interesting, because I find that niching could really be the very thing that can kind of catapult you, if you will, in your business, So for me specifically, I actually had an interest in videography when I was in college. I had a dream I wanted to make music videos. Did you ever watch like VH1 growing up? Or, it was like Britney Spears time,
of course.
Like, it was iconic, like all these fun music videos. And I always just thought that was so cool. And so I actually purchased, like my first camera in college just to like start editing and just like get familiar with softwares. As I was studying business at school, I was doing some marketing videos for local businesses, just making some money. And because I had a camera, my roommates at the time were like, hey, I'm graduating. They were a little older than me. Hey, I'm graduating next month. Can we go on campus and maybe snap some photos, And I'm like, I will try. I've never used the camera function on my camera. I've only used the video function, And yeah, we just kind of made it work. And from there, I did take a quick 9-to-5 job for about a year in LA before I was like, you know what, I'm doing a lot of photography on the side. I moved home. Took a coaching job at a local high school so I could be with my little sister more often.
Oh,
And
cool.
that is really where the high school senior thing started to come in. So it was kind of this series of events, and it was just like a snowball effect.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like that's so many people's stories when they're senior photographers. Like, yeah, I had friends that were graduating and then it snowballed from there. I love it. When I lived in Georgia before moving to Charleston is when I really started in the senior world. And it was because I just knew a lot of seniors at church and they were just available to me. And sometimes I feel like if you're looking to specialize in something, if you're looking for a niche, like, look at what's around you. See
100%.
who the people are around you. Maybe you're friends with a lot of people who are starting to get married. Like maybe that's your life stage, but maybe you're like us where it was like, we just had a lot of like kids around us, a lot of like teenagers, you know, and it just kind of worked from there. And then it's cool how it does like snowball because people hear from other people and all the things. So I love that.
Yeah. And that is one of the things that makes senior photography so unique is the power of like the word of mouth aspect, because that's true of any niche, whether, you know, if you do a beautiful wedding client, of course, those clients are going to tell you or tell their friends about you, no doubt. But the way that seniors, you know, exist in this like high school environment or even college environment, and social media is such a big part of their lives, like you can see how that could easily almost like add fuel to a fire, so to speak, in terms of like getting your brand out there. Did you also want to be a photographer growing up, or what's your story?
No, I didn't. So, okay, I'm the kid that like in middle school, early high school, do you remember like Picnic and PicMonkey, like the editing things? Of course, right? So all of my friends would like send me their pictures for me to edit, and I would like design everybody's MySpace back in the day. Like that was kind of like my creative outlet, but it was funny because I didn't fully recognize or realize in myself that I was a creative. But looking back at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, literally even digitally, I was doing stuff. Like it totally makes sense. But I also just like really love people. So I ended up going into ministry. And when I say I was around a lot of high schoolers, I was a student pastor. And so I got to like hang out with all of these teenagers, love them so much. Like I knew that I loved that age before I started photographing them. You know, it just kind of like came out in life for me. But yeah. And then when my husband and I moved to Charleston, that was when I went actually full time and decided on, okay, I'm picking seniors as my niche. Let's go. Let's do this thing. But really before that, when I was part-time, I found a love for creative portraits. And I really like if I could have it in a perfect world where I didn't have to try so hard for this, I would be like, let's do like something with Gap. You know, like let's do like fashion or like just something that like, but that's so hard. And like, that's great for some people. And I encourage you if that's your goal, but like, it's just not going to be my goal in life. But I like the like style of it. And I feel like seniors is a beautiful, happy medium where I get to like love on people and make them feel confident at such a like young and ripe age before they go into the world. But then also have that like individual portrait that can feel creative to me. So that's kind of like my story of like bridging both. But I find that in a lot of like senior photographer stories, it's like, oh, they like the creativity of the individual portraits. But it's funny because everyone feels different about that. Some people are like, I could never, and I only do couples.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool, honestly, is it's almost like you just said, you know, look at what's around you, look at your network and what feels natural. And I do feel like there's that like point in everybody's photography journey where you start out and it's so natural for you to try all these different, of course you have to, you know, you have to try the couples, you have to try the maybe the newborns or the weddings. And then you'll quickly start to realize I really vibe with this type of event. And then this type of event just doesn't feel like a fit to me. I was really surprised to find that to be the case when I did weddings. I did a handful of weddings and I just thought, well, first of all, if I end up getting really booked out at this, all my weekends are going to be booked. Right. And nobody else in my family is, you know, has a business or anything. So that would mean like our schedules would be opposite. And it was just kind of like, is that the lifestyle you want? So I do think that there's like a jumping off point where you really can experiment for a little while. And then you can be like, let me just like lean into the one that feels really good. I agree. High school seniors, they're fun. They're celebratory. They're like such good energy and so adjacent to the fashion industry in a way where photographers like you and I who kind of want that magazine vibe every once in a while can kind of get the fix when a client shows up with like a really cool dress and like some cool props, you know? So it's
I love it. Yeah. And I think it's cool too. There's so many seniors that I've had over the years too that go on to be models. And because of their first shoot with me, where I'm like, you should model, you know? And then it's cool. They'll go get signed and do their
Literally
thing or model for me. Like, yeah, I know.
They show up to the shoots. I'm like, excuse me? Like,
no, I know. And they're like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And then they're just like,
yeah, literally perfect at it.
I was like, okay. Literally. That's funny. Okay. Well, I love everything that you just said, but why do you feel like maybe people and photographers are hesitant to niche down? Like, what do you think the fear is behind it?
Oh my gosh. I think the most natural thing as a business owner is to fear the idea of quote unquote limiting yourself. Because if you limit, I mean, it's natural, right? Like, think about it. You're like, oh, I have, you know, in my DMs or in my inbox, I have 10 people who want 10 different types of shoots. If I specialize or if I niche down to one, that means I'm going to go from 10 inquiries to one inquiry. But the way that I look at it is if you specialize, you're going to go from 10 separate like types of photo shoots where every time you go to a shoot, you're switching up your energy, you're switching up your gear, you're switching up your scheduling to not just 10 of an aligned niche. Like, I don't think your inquiries would go down. I think it would actually increase. So to me, you can either have 10, you know, separate types of inquiries, or you can have 20 of one, and you just become so excellent at it. The way that honestly, I look at specializing is, it's not so much, you know, picking a niche or being one type of person. It's like just becoming so like such an expert at one type of service, meaning from beginning to end. You are the person who, like, as soon as they meet you, there's like this subconscious trust because you have specialized. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know that you're the one.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that too since kind of niching into seniors a little bit more. Like, I have for sure experienced where the parents specifically trust me a lot more because they know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And like, maybe that came a little bit from faking it first, you know, and just kind of like hoping I was doing the right thing. But then the other piece of it is the more reps you have under your belt of a specific niche, the more you're like, no, I am the expert. Like, you can trust me in this. And they ask you a question and you know. Something that I always find cool about, like, this is so random, but cool about like your posts, Jenna, is that I feel like you truly are an expert in things. And like, something as simple as, I remember when I was first starting, I would always have people ask, and I'm sure you get this too, like, which side do they put the tassel on for the pictures? And I think one time, and this may have been like years ago, but I remember it so specifically from you, that you did a post talking about the history of a graduation cap. And I don't know why I remember that.
I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, actually, they'll be like, why do we have to wear this cap? And I'm like, did you know, actually? It's like, it gives it a little bit of authority, you know? You're like, wait, this is actually kind of cool that I get to wear this.
No, it is cool, but I remember that so specifically because it's like, you are the expert, you know? I know, it's so random. Like, of all the posts that you've made, that's the one that I've really clung to.
That's cool.
But you're the expert, you know, and it is cool because I do think like the more you are knowledgeable about your niche, the more people can trust you. So I totally agree with that. What do you feel like? Well, I guess you kind of just talked about it, but even more so, go deeper on that. Like, what do you feel like the biggest benefit is to niching down for a photographer?
You become like, you know how a lot of people say like, oh, become the go-to photographer. It's when you specialize, and if you really put all of your effort into not just the quote unquote client experience, but actually, like I said, making sure you get that client just like, from, okay, how do I want to say this? Like, it's almost as if when you specialize, right? Like it's not the thing that's going to make you, oh my gosh. Sorry,
I love it. You're like, hold on. Yeah.
I'm like, no, literally. My brain is firing. I have so many
things I love that this just happened because that is so me. It's like, hold on. I have so many avenues right now.
Literally, I teach my students this and why specializing is so powerful. And I will say this, like, there's 3 things that happen when you specialize. And I believe this in like every single bone of my body. One is that your clients book you faster. Because like that moment of time from when they inquire to when they're like, yes, this is it, like it shrinks because you are just established as somebody who's really, really good at this one specific thing. The second thing is you actually can earn more per hour. So like you don't necessarily have to extend the amount of time that you're working with these clients, right? Like you actually start to be like, wait, I'm so efficient. Like I'm not switching, you know, from, like I said, all this packing. I remember when I used to pack for like a proposal, it was so different from when I was packing for like a senior session. Cause I'm like, I have to get my disguise ready. You know, I got to get all this gear, my little, my like second shooter and all, like gear and all this fun stuff. But yeah, sorry. I'm like, what was the question?
No, literally everything you just said was so good. It was just benefits to niching down. But you were saying like that one, I really love the, like, you can make more per hour, because I've definitely found that to be true too in my own life. And I know that I have so many amazing friends who are amazing and talented and pretty big photographers in their area that don't niche down. But one thing that I have found is that, especially in a tourist town, and obviously you are too, but I don't know how many, you know, tourist seniors you get, but I get a lot of tourist seniors, but they're willing to pay more because they know that I'm a senior photographer versus them just finding a regular photographer. You know what I mean? Like what would you call that? An all niche photographer. Yeah. a broad niche. What are we even saying on this podcast, Jenna?
I know. Well, okay. Actually, when you were talking, I was just thinking, it's almost like when you go to a restaurant, right? Like, you know, you could go to like, listen, there's a time and a place for a Cheesecake Factory. You know what I'm saying? Like huge menu, so many options. And there's also people who want to go to like a sushi restaurant, or they want, you know, and it's like, tell me that a roll of sushi from like a general restaurant like that versus a roll of sushi from a specialty, you know, it's just like, there's almost like this built-in elevation when you do specialize. And specifically with seniors, the demand that can come from that is almost like a good problem that you're going to experience. Like you will cross that bridge if you really go all in on seniors, where it's almost like, okay, wait, now I need to somehow figure out how to level out this demand, because seniors are one of the only niches where you get that like every single year once graduation rolls around, boom, it's like hundreds and hundreds of more fresh, excited people. And one more thing that I want to say about seniors for now is, when it comes to, oh my gosh, don't go away from me. My thoughts. Sorry, it is the middle of my like senior season right now, and my brain, I swear,
same.
properly. So we were talking about how there's a built-in deadline, and it's going to come back to me. I'm sorry. I'll tell you what I think.
No, you're good. I totally agree with what you're saying, though. I'm actually in the middle right now of launching my associate team. So
how's that been?
So this is a big deal for me, obviously, because it's like a lot of trust passing things off in this way. But I was contracting one specific photographer to do, okay, this is like kind of my hack in life. But while I say I'm niched in seniors, I actually take a lot more niches, but I use my associate for all of the other niches, and I just don't book. So I already had that kind of kicking and going. But what I found with seniors specifically is, because they're finding me on social media, they're wanting me to be their photographer for seniors, because that's what I'm posting on social. And so instead of having it like, well, I'm not available, but this person is, instead of that, I started a whole new Instagram for Charleston senior photos. And now I'm having them find that Instagram, not just me. They can come to me if they want, and I'll happily still book them. Of course, I love my seniors. Couldn't make me stop. But I also have this whole other side where, yes, I can say, hey, I'm not available. You can go to this, but they can also find the Charleston seniors page and book directly through my senior collective team. And it's a collection of photographers that are super talented, but I'm the one who plans the shoot. I'm the one who schedules with the parents. I'm the one who does the process for it and the editing for it. But that's how I'm kind of like meeting the demand, like you were talking about, which is a really cool opportunity. Like, it's amazing, but I'll let you guys know how it goes, because honestly, it could suck.
I know associates. I've definitely like kind of, that's what most people, you know, will advise. Why don't you just have a team of associates? And like you said, it involves a lot of trust and
training.
And that's, and training. And that's, I guess, part of being a business owner. So let me know how that goes. You know, that seems like an efficient. So do you have an associate collective for seniors and for these other niches like you talked about?
So I just have one person
Okay.
that I've had on my team just as a like, hey, when it's necessary, this is my girl and this is what I do. And I trained her up from scratch. She was not a photographer before. She was a model. And I said, I think I see potential in you. I'm going to buy you a camera, like all through my business, you know, and everything. And trained her up. And so she does like all couples for me. If I have a couple shoot that reaches out. And again, because it's Charleston, it's like a, you know, it's tourist town, right? So they're coming to me and like, they don't know who I am. So they don't even care if it's, you know, Alex or anybody else, you know? And so I'm like, great, I'll send this girl and she's your girl. So she'll do the proposals, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's just her.
That is interesting. Okay. So do you get like a lot of tourists, you would say, like compared to local clientele?
Yeah. All throughout the summer. I get tourists. So really like spring break through August is tourist season, you know? So I definitely get extra busy during that time. And last summer was when I was like, never again, I'm getting an associate. Like we got to work something out. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, but it's been a lot, but it's been really fun. But I really want to talk to you about some senior rep stuff because I know you can't share everything because you have some exciting stuff coming out that I'll let you share about. But I also want to know just in general, like tell us about your senior rep team.
Oh my gosh, senior reps have been such an integral part of being a senior photographer for me, at least.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it just started back when I think I mentioned earlier that I took a job as a local cheerleading coach at a high school. Yeah. Where my little sister, so it was kind of, you know, I was like basically out of work. I was doing photography on the side and I was actually doing a lot of video stuff still, kind of like digital marketing consulting. So my little sister's like, hey, you know, we need a coach. And I had gone to this school myself and everything. So I'm like, okay, you know, that'll be fun. And just being in that world, being around the seniors was like, just really energizing. I really enjoyed seeing them every day after school for practice. They made me laugh. Like I was just like, you guys are so awesome, you know? And so it was that first year where I was just kind of like, you know, really wanting to do just make some money. To be honest with you, I was broke. And so I was like, let me see if I, you know, can not only take a couple of their senior photos, but I told them can you guys just bring some friends with you as well?
Smart.
And that was the first time. And it was only 4 people at this photo shoot. Like, but that first shoot, I'll never forget it. Like the images are so burned in my mind because I remember creating a little video from it and putting it up on my website. And that was my first ever like, hey, there's this program where you can get your photos done. And at the time I was really marketing it as if it was such a good deal. That was like my angle was this is the best way to do it. Since then, I've definitely developed that program so that it's still very profitable and very effective to get you to get your schedule booked out. But it really just started as a way to get my brand out there, which at the time it didn't really even exist hardly, you know?
Yeah. I know. I feel like now it's a lot more common in the senior world. I feel like if you're a senior photographer, you got a rep team, you know, but for a while too, I do think it was like, I mean, at least again, when I started following you, you were one of the only people that I had seen do it. And I was like, ooh, what is this? I'm so curious, you know? So I love hearing your backstory to it. Tell us like what it's developed into now.
Yeah. So I have done a rep team. I think this is my 6th year, this past class that is just about to graduate. And you know, what's interesting is every year it's been a little bit different, like in terms of size. So some years I think I went from 4 to like 8 to it got a little big in my opinion. It was up to like 15 to 18. And then we went down to 12, you know, and every year, I'm not kidding. I must have made like shifts to different things. And I think that's kind of part of the process. But this last year felt like really honestly, one of my first years was like that went off without a hitch. That was just like,
good.
Like a very, very smooth year in terms of pricing, in terms of upsells, in terms of the number of photo shoots and making sure that it didn't take up too much time or too much time away from quote unquote, like regular clients who are not on the rep team. And like feeding into like while you're running your rep team, making sure it feeds into the following year as well. Cause that's kind of the whole point is like that year over year marketing. That's what I talk about often. And with that comes like peace of mind. Cause you're not only running this like really powerful business, but like, you're also like, honestly, I'm kind of setting myself up for next year as well at the same time.
Yeah. That's really cool. I love the idea of just like the year over year marketing. Cause I think sometimes people will do it just cause it looks fun or it looks like, a fun group photo shoot, but it's so smart to remember like the strategy behind something like this. Like while it's creative, while it's fun, while it's a community based thing, it's also to sustain your business,
Oh,
so
completely. Yep. I
yeah.
remember too. So when I first got started in photography, I eventually moved out from my parents' house. Thanks, mom and dad. But when I lived with one of my friends, her and she was so supportive of my business. She'd always write me little notes like, good luck today, at your shoots and stuff. And I
Aw.
remember sitting in our living room and on Instagram back in the day, you would just post one photo at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the grid was like really pretty and everything. And I remember being like, I ran out of posts. I was like, I don't have anything. I don't have any clients to post. I'm like, shoot, I want to be posting once a day at least. And that was another kind of reason to start one, like you said, was just to have more content. Like I was like, I just want to be able to just constantly have this like feed of photos and now videos and things. So yes, it is a creative outlet and it's a really fun way to experiment with new locations, new outfit concepts, renting cars, getting these really cool props. And like you said, in my opinion, it is just as, if not way more important to also make sure you have the business side of that strategy locked in too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask you this because I think this is such a great question. And it's something like in the past, I don't currently have a senior rep team, but I have done it before. And one of the things that I felt was that it was hard for me it was like an investment is what it felt like. But in the moment, it didn't feel profitable for me, for the like last year that I did it. Besides, like when I was in Georgia, it looked different, but in Charleston, I was like, okay, it's my first year in Charleston. I got to have a senior rep team. I got to like make clients somehow, So when I did it though, I provided some of the things like the wardrobe and I had a studio and all of that kind of stuff. And it just felt like it drained it versus doing something at a free location or something that feels a little bit more like repeatable for me. So how do you make something like this profitable and creative and fun at the same time?
Well, that is such a good question. So the first thing that comes to my mind when you say that is, first of all, been there, get that completely, understand. Yes, 100,000,000%. When I'm planning my annual calendar, and I used to do probably too many shoots, and this might be a mistake that photographers are making when they're doing their first couple years is like, the more, the better. But I think that for me, the sweet spot honestly has been, let's see. So doing like bookend events is what I like reference it as. So like a meet and greet at the beginning, and it's not a photo shoot, but you will be taking photos there. And when I tell you that at least like as seniors continue to evolve and they, they're not like, obviously not millennials anymore. They're about to not even be Gen Z anymore, believe it or not.
Gen Alpha.
And as they continue to kind of develop behaviorally and everything, one thing I've noticed is they actually are way more likely to post like random casual group photos that I take with my phone, with my digital camera, with a disposable camera, than they are to post photos of themselves. So that meet and greet, like even though you're not, spending all this time like shooting everybody and editing and everything, it's still such a wise thing to include. So a bookend event, meet and greet in the front, at the end, some kind of year-end event, whether that's like a dinner. I've done like a little party at like a local thing, and those are investments. Like at the meet and greet one, we went to this cute little bead shop where they could make little bracelets. So giving them an activity so they're not just sort of like staring at each other like I've never, met you before. And then for the photo shoots, absolutely. I think like 2 of them should be renting a studio. You are paying sometimes thousands of dollars to set up these events. And then other ones can be at like a local park with like a super casual, candid concept. And they're just as, desirable, but you have to make sure you're in, like you just did a great job of setting that up, thinking about that before you go ahead and commit, because, and of course you want to be tracking your expenses, right? Like I have this whole just like budget sheet where I'm making sure that after all is said and done, after all of the reps have paid in for their, because that's a huge myth that I talk about a lot is like that rep team should not be free.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like, I mean, and honestly, that's for the benefit of you as the business owner and for them, because people who pay money into something are way more likely to take advantage of all that there is there, So making sure that once those people have paid in, so now you have this lump sum, right? Like they paid. So we got to make sure we're not spending more than this program bought in.
Yeah.
But then there's also 2 really important elements people forget: your time as a photographer, and also considering the fact that this team may have very well brought in a large majority of your revenue, which sometimes isn't measurable. And that's the thing that I think people are like, was my team profitable? Did it work? Did it actually bring in referrals? Like, I don't know if it's working. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So do you have, and again, I know you have a resource for this that you're going to share with everyone. So if you're like, check the resource, then say it. But how do you do like a reward system for them? Because one of the things that I was finding is, it is hard to track. And so I would have a couple of the girls that would have like reward stuff or whatever. And then a couple of them where I was like, I'm pretty sure this person came, but they didn't give her name. So I can't, you know what I mean? So how do you kind of track those things?
Yeah. So tracking it became easier when I really like locked in honestly simplified my packages. So I don't know if do you do ordering appointments after your shoots, like artwork and stuff?
No, I don't. I have it like connected to my gallery.
Okay. Cause that's like a whole other rep team consideration. So we do, I call it like modern IPS. So it's not quite like in-person sales, but there is a second event after the photo shoot where they purchase their package. Right.
Okay.
And so with your reps, that also became a thing where I was like, wait a minute. So now, they're going to be doing their photo shoot in hopefully the summer or the fall, because for me, I need to keep the spring open for what for us is like the rush in the spring. Right. So they get to do their photos in the warm, beautiful months of that or whatever. But then you have their ordering appointment. And so if you reward them with like, hey, you get print credit for referring people, or you get this reward, it's like, I remember thinking I have to create some kind of cutoff point, because they might be doing their ordering appointment in October, but what if they refer 5 people after that? How do I go about that? So for me, I have it in my application that you have to, and I just say like to the rep, they have to put your name in the application, in order for it. And sometimes I'll honor it. Like, if they're like, hey, that's like my childhood best friend, they didn't know, so I'm like, it's honestly totally great. But I like to do a print credit reward. I don't do things like cash or anything, but print credit. And here's the beautiful part, is because it just further solidifies like the value of prints, which is a huge thing that I believe in. Like for me, all of my clients get some kind of printed version of their images, whether it's like an album or a wall piece. You can see all my stuff back here.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. And so what's great is it's like, I could give them like, a Sephora gift card, or I could be like, let's get an additional print for your grandma. Like that would be such a sweet thing to do for Mother's Day or graduation or your grad party. So let's say that rep who we already did her order in October. Now she's since referred 5 people. Okay. I owe her $500 of credit. I'm going to send her an email and be like, guess what? Like you got this. Here's what we can order for you. Let me know which one you want and I'll have it shipped over immediately. Like, and so it's almost like this extra level of service while you're further promoting your own work and rewarding them for so I think that's the main reward system.
That's really cool. My friend Preston also does, like, his reward is outfits, or he used to when he had a senior rep team. And I thought that was a really unique idea too, because he doesn't really typically do the whole print side of things, but he would do like you get an additional outfit at your second shoot or something like that, which I thought was a smart idea too.
Super smart. And why? Because the cost of goods is nothing, but it's so valuable to the client. And when you can find those kinds of things that are like really important to somebody who you're serving, and don't take too much extra time, effort, or energy or money on your side, that's like a win-win,
Yeah, that's such a good point of like, okay, maybe it's the print credit, but maybe you're just starting and it is an outfit or something that isn't like dishing it out from your wallet to do, so I love that idea. Okay. If somebody is interested in maybe starting a senior rep team or becoming a senior photographer and they're starting from scratch, what would you say to them?
First of all, buckle up. It's going to be so fun. It's the best. I truly don't know why more photographers don't go this route. Like and what's funny is I'm in some different coaching programs for business things. And they're always like, that is so genius. Like the rep thing, they're like, that is just, and I'm like, I know, I need more people to know about it. So my advice to you would be, a couple things. Honestly, I would say to start very, very small and know that it only takes one person to be a representative of your business. If you could even take your regular, like your actual just booked clients and you can kind of leverage an event by, inviting them back or doing something. All you're doing is really creating what I call like a splash in marketing. Whereas if your Instagram account or your marketing presence in general is kind of feels stagnant, a lot of people are like, I feel like there's no one here. It's crickets. Let's splash. Let's like switch it up a little bit, and that's when you come out with all these different reels and posts. People are like, what the heck is this? What am I missing? It's an element of FOMO while you're still very much welcoming to people. So I want to say like reps can sometimes seem like, oh, like let me do this kind of fear of missing out strategy. But I think the beauty of like a luxury or a premium brand is being exclusive and then also being extremely warm and available and accessible to people. Like being like, oh, like this is this cool thing that you want to be a part of. And then when they knock on the door to be like, what's this all about? You're like there to greet them and be like, 100%. I'm so happy you're here. That is like a really, really sweet spot because there's what I call like the warmth and then also the authority. Like and when you have authority, meaning like a reputation and people are talking about you and everyone at school is like, oh my gosh, like, did you get your photos done by that person? Whatever. And when they're like, oh, I wonder if if it would work for me or if my photos would look good, then you meet them with like a smile and you're answering their questions. That is like where people are really willing to be very, very loyal to you and to pay top dollar for it,
Jenna, that is so good. I love everything that you said. I love the big splash thing. I'm actually about to do that. Like I said, I'm, launching the associate team. Well, I quietly launched it and just did like a little soft launch where like I've got the Instagram, I'm posting things from associates. I had a shoot last night from an associate. Woohoo. Didn't have to go. It was great. Nice. But I haven't had I'm having a big party next week for them. And I invited all my past seniors to come from this year to come. And I invited people on social. If they just said, maybe they didn't get their senior pictures done with me, but they can come to the party and get their pictures done there. And then they're also inviting junior friends. And I'm going to use all of that content on my Instagram, on the Senior Collective Instagram to be able to make the big splash. So there's definitely a way around of like, oh my gosh, I haven't planned for a senior rep team. It's May. What do I do? Change it up. Maybe it's not a senior rep team, but it's something really similar that sets you up really well for next year's senior rep team. There's ways to utilize the content that way. So I love everything that you've said, Jenna. It was such a joy to get to chat with you. Tell us a little bit about that resource that we were talking about for senior reps.
Yeah. So for senior reps, one thing I've noticed in this year is like there is kind of like a new way to have this crazy in-demand senior photography business. So I not only like made a free resource, but I actually recorded some content too. There's like a couple of voice memos in there. It's called The New Rules for a Wildly Successful Senior Photography Business in 2025. And it's completely free. And I want you guys to, and you and your listeners to be able to just dive in and hopefully learn something new about what I genuinely think is different now about this industry and kind of like the direction that it's headed. I also have a really fun 5-day senior photography masterclass coming up next month. And tickets are under $100. So if you want to come in and learn about senior rep teams, about premium pricing, I'm going to go all in on all of the things that help me run my own business. And also, I remember what I was going to say about seniors.
Oh my gosh. Yes, please.
One thing I really want senior photographers to know is that sometimes it feels like it's just senior photography. Like it's not that serious, but like you alluded to, you're potentially kind of helping change the course of someone's confidence at a time when we all remember being a teenager. Like it can be a very vulnerable time. Now, as a senior photographer, you are one of the only niches that serves a student at a literal once in a lifetime, like cannot be repeated time of their life. Once they go away to school, boom, they're no longer a senior. They're leaving the house. It's a very transitional time. So as a photographer, you can really create a very specialized business where, remember, you're serving the senior, helping them feel good. And don't ever forget that you're also serving that parent and that family who helped to raise them. It's very, very, very powerful and also very fun and creative niche to be in.
I love it. Well, we're just convincing everyone to come to the dark side, to come to the senior niche side.
Cap and gowns ready, baby.
I love it. Okay. Well, where can people find you? Where can they follow you? I'm going to put the resource stuff. The links will be in the show notes, but where can they find you on socials?
Yes. So come say hi. I'm on Instagram at Ren Pro is my main photography account, and at JRP University for all things business and money making skills as a photographer for some
I
education.
love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. Per usual, I love you guys so much. Mwah. I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye.